Welcome to Sunday Springboard with Melanie and Kimberlyn Coaching, where we help women recover from and flourish after stress and trauma. We're continuing on with stress. How do we eliminate stress? How do we lessen stress? Hang on, let me share my screen with you. Yeah, so we've talked about what do we do when we're stressed in the moment? How do we, when we're in Hulk mode, how do we get back to Bruce Banner mode? We've talked about eliminating those situations that are stressful. How do we get out of those? And then we're continuing to talk about decreasing our reaction to stress because it's not the situation for the most part, it's our reactions to the situation. So, how do we change our reaction to stress? We talked about the core disciplines. These are concepts that if you use these in your daily life, you will present more powerfully. You will have less stress. You will have a more joyful life and more the life that you want to live. So we're continuing on acceptance today. We're going to talk about 3 areas of acceptance: yourself, others, and life circumstances. Today we're actually only going to talk about what areas of ourself, how do we accept ourself? And then next week and the week after, we'll continue on with others and life circumstances. First, we just want to, first we've got 6 different things we're going to talk about: your personhood, your past, your body, your strengths, your limitations, and your emotions. First, your personhood. So here's the deal: everyone is not going to like you all the time. Everyone is not going to approve of you all the time. We just really want to just be authentic, be ourselves, and not worry about other people approving of us. We just want to accept ourselves and approve ourselves. Another thing that we want to accept is we're not damaged goods. We may have had bad things happen to us. We may have had abuse happen to us. We may have problems with our bodies. We may have uh, had accidents. We may have limitations in our bodies that make us what we consider not whole, but we are. We are not damaged goods. We are completely who we need to be and completely capable of living the lives we need to be, that we want to live. The other thing is nobody's perfect. We all have flaws. And if you think about someone that you know that you think is perfect, do you actually feel comfortable being around them? No, you don't. It's our very flaws, our very imperfections that actually make us be able to relate to each other. And let's say you have an area that you are less than desirable in, that's okay. One area does not define all areas. Just because you may have some failings in some part of your life doesn't mean that your whole life is a failure, that you're a loser, that you're not worthwhile. You might can even change those areas, but whether you do or not, one area does not define all areas. So let's look at your past. Sometimes we are just so stuck in our past. Well, first of all, sometimes we just can't admit that it happened. We just try to avoid it, try not to think about it, but we really need to just admit, yeah, whatever that was, whatever that terrible thing was that happened to me or that I did, it did happen and it's over. It's done. It's in the past. I cannot change it. I cannot change what someone did to me. I cannot change what I did to someone else. And that having said, my past does not define me. When I look back at all the things I've gone through, those have made me and you into the strong, amazing people that we are. We can look back and see things we have learned through all the hard times that we have suffered. Our past does not control us. We still get to make decisions about what we want to do today, about what we want to do tomorrow. Yes, our past happened. Yes, it may have been terrible. It may have been horrible. It may have been abusive, but it does not define me and it does not control me. What about our bodies? Now, I have to admit, I have issues with my body. I actually used to hate my body. I did actually change. One day I realized, this body has done pretty good by me. I'm giving it a lot of abuse and it still just keeps on ticking. I don't have any major problems. I don't have any of the things that you might be suffering because of being overweight, having a larger body. And my body has just been a trooper. And so I've changed my feelings. I do love my body. I do accept my body. Now, does it look exactly like I wish it looked? Is it as fit as I wish it was? No, maybe not so much. But still, my body has worked really hard for me, and it's good for me. It's a good trooper, and so I do love my body, and I do appreciate my body, and I'm working to accept all areas of my body. So the first thing I want to talk about is function rather than fashion. Now, I'm not saying you can't be fashionable, but I'm just saying how do our bodies work instead of worrying about how do our bodies look, right? If we have a body that takes us through life and can move us along, that is so much more important than how it looks. I don't know about you, but when you meet people, do you judge whether you like them or not by how they look? After you've known them for a while, could you even answer the question? Are they good looking or not? It just doesn't, it comes to not matter. It might affect your first opinion of someone, but after you get to know them, who they are makes so much more of a difference than how they look. So let's accept the things we can't change. There are some things absolutely we have no control over. We can't change our height, our race, the color of our skin, the things that happen to us as we age, our body structure. If you've got a big bones or if you've got little bones, you cannot change that. If you have some kind of a disability that you were born with or that happened to you through the years, you can't change that. These are the things that we want to accept and move on. Now, there are some things that we can change. We can take responsibility for those things. If we have chronic pain, we can learn how to minimize that pain. In our health, in our fitness, we eat certain things that make us feel certain ways. We exercise, it makes us feel a certain way. If we can choose the ways of eating, the ways of exercising, the ways of living, getting enough sleep, getting enough rest, working on the stress, these things make our bodies feel better and ultimately will make us look better also. Now, I put optional on the looks because you can just be happy with what you are and do nothing. Or you can do a little bit if you want to. You could color your hair. You can put some makeup on. You can lose a little weight. You can go choose some pretty clothes. Whether you're overweight, whether you're underweight, we deserve beautiful clothes. And so there are some things that you can do that make yourself look a little better, that make you feel a little better, but it's up to you whether that's something that you enjoy or not. The main idea is let's take care of our bodies. Let's accept them. We only have one. This is all we get, and let's do the best we can with this one body that we have. Now, your strengths. Some people have a really hard time admitting that they are strong. Sometimes we feel weak. If we've been through abuse, if we've been rejected, maybe we had a bad marriage, we're in a divorce, somebody has left us or doesn't want us, we feel weak. We do not feel strong. But I can guarantee you, you have some strengths. What are those? What are you good at? What do you enjoy? If you have, not if you, but the talents and the gifts that you have, does it feel prideful to admit that you have them? It's not. It depends upon how you, we're not talking be all arrogant, be all judgmental, thinking I'm better than you, proclaiming it to the world. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about admit it to yourself, figure out how to use these talents and these gifts and these strengths in your daily life to help you with your family, with your job, with a purpose in life, with helping others. What strengths have you developed through your life? Appreciate it, enjoy it, don't be embarrassed. I used to be embarrassed to admit to people that I was smart. I'm okay with admitting that now because there's a lot more to life than just being smart. Being kind and compassionate and being a good listener are way more important than being smart. But being smart is an okay thing too. So what are your talents? What are your gifts? What are your strengths? Be willing to be aware of those and be willing to accept them and be grateful for them. God gave these to you, so don't just throw them away. Be aware of what they are and figure out how to use them for the benefit of yourself and for others around you. Also, we want to accept our limitations. Now, you see this picture of this woman kicking her foot up over her hand. I can tell you right now that is not going to happen in my house. That is a limitation that I accept. I accept I am not ever going to be an astronaut. I accept that I'm not gonna run a 10K. Now, I could do it, but I have to say that my doctor said I shouldn't because of my hip surgeries. And I have to say, actually, I'm happy to have that excuse. But we have limitations, and it's okay to accept those. We don't have to be embarrassed. We accept those, and then we maximize the other parts of our body that don't have these limitations. Maybe you have physical, maybe you have illnesses, or maybe you have disabilities, or things that limit the way that you use your physical body in your life. It's okay. Just accept it. You don't have to be embarrassed. Just accept it and do what you can do. Mentally, maybe you have some mental challenges. I love the movie of Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump wasn't all that smart, but he knew what was important. He knew how to love. He knew how to be loyal. He was a wonderful person. So if you have mental limitations, it's okay. Maybe you have some mental illness that you're dealing with. It's okay. Just deal with it and then move on. Maybe you're not comfortable socially. Maybe you feel uncomfortable being an introvert rather than an extrovert. Maybe you feel uncomfortable talking around people. It's okay. Accept it. Sometimes there's things that you can change, and sometimes then you just accept this is the way I am and it's okay. Financially, maybe you grew up in a household that didn't have much money, and so you didn't get to go to college, you didn't get to do some things. Again, there may be some ways that you can do these. Maybe you can go get some grants or some loans, or maybe you just accept this is where it was, this is where I am now. I'm happy where I am now, doing what I'm doing now. All of these limitations are things that we can accept, and actually, first we become aware of them, and then we determine is there something we can change about them? If we can't change them, then we accept them and we focus on the strengths and the abilities that we have, our competencies. One mistake or a failure does not define us. If we have one area of our life that we have a problem with, that doesn't define our whole body, our whole self, our whole personhood. We always have the ability to learn and improve. We just determine which areas we want to do that in. So then acceptance of our emotions. Emotions are neither good nor bad. What we want to do with emotions is we want to just observe them. Don't judge them, notice them. Allow yourself to be curious. Allow them to be there. Are you feeling grief? Are you feeling anger? Just sit there with it for a little bit. Are you feeling some fear, some anticipation, some joy? Sit there with it for a little bit. Be gentle with yourself. Emotions are neither good nor bad. Once you let go of the resistance and you allow yourself to feel whatever emotion it is you're feeling, you can think more clearly. You can remind yourself that you're perfectly normal to be feeling this way, that everything is okay, and this too shall pass. Once you accept that you're feeling this way, you can work on ways to let the emotion move on in a gentle way. You can talk about it, you can write about it, you can work it out with another person. But when we're gentle, when we allow ourselves to feel our emotions, we can work through them instead of resisting them, because anything that you try to hold down, anything you resist, stays around. So just a reminder here, let's summarize that we want to accept our very selves, our personhood, our past, our bodies, our strengths, our limitations, and our emotions. If you would like some help in any of this, use the link at the bottom of the show page and schedule a session, and we can talk about whether we would be a great fit for each other. Thank you very much. Have a great week.